Hi, my name is Tiago Duarte and welcome to another video tutorial here at Daily Beats. In today's video I'm going to give you an overview of sound design, so the basics of sound design, and I'm going to show you how you can set up your synthesizers or how synthesizers are set up in a way that it will give you some basis so that you can explore further your sound design skills. Before we start, I would like to ask you to subscribe and activate the notifications so that you know when we upload new videos, and if you have any questions or suggestions, just leave a comment below. Also, if you want to support this channel, consider buying one of our products at dailybeats.pt or becoming a premium or exclusive member, and you will have access to premium content and more in-depth videos about sound design, mixing, mastering, and music production in general, and you will also have access to the project files of these tutorials, so it's great value. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the tutorial. So sound design is a field that it can be very hard. I was trying to look to other word, but it can be very hard to understand and very hard to master. But as anything else in life, if you want to master something, you have to practice. But the first thing you have to understand is what is a synthesizer and the types of waveforms, because that's the basic of sound design or music, synthesized music. To understand how to make sounds or how to make pads or pianos or whatever, you have to first have an idea of what a synthesizer is and how synthesizers work, in order for you to, based on that knowledge, you can mess with or start increasing your skills as a sound designer. So the first thing we are going to do is to import or add a synthesizer, and for this tutorial I'm going to work with 3x oscillator and GMS. So let's go with 3x oscillator, and here, as the name implies, we have 3 times 1 oscillator. So this is a 3 oscillator plugin, and as you can see here we have 1, 2 and 3, and these are the basic. You can't get anything simpler than this plugin, but don't let this fool you into understanding that this plugin is not good, because it is really nice and you can make a lot of sounds with this plugin here. But what I want to give you, the ideas that I want to give you, is the basic controls of oscillator, and they are here. Basically, we have a sound wave, a sound selector, and we can select several shapes from this oscillator. So we have here a sine wave, a square wave, a kind of square wave, I don't know the name of this one. We have here a button to import waves, so if you have any waves that you want, you can import them right here. And as you can see, supported files, wave, IF, IFF, sound, whatever. We have a lot of supported files here. Then we have a triangle shape, and then we have the saw shape, and here we have white noise. So let's listen to the shapes. I will take out the volume of all the other 2 oscillators. So let's go ahead. Okay, so it's this key here. Let me lower the volume. I don't want this to be too loud. Just give me a second. Okay, a little bit more, because this might not sound too loud, but the other ones might be. So here, as we can see, we have a sine wave, And this is the basic sound, the cleanest sound, and as you can see we have just a peak here in the frequency spectrum. Then we have a square wave, and as you can see we have more harmonics here. We have this kind of square wave which is more high pitched. Then we have the triangle wave, and as you can see we have more harmonics here. And then we have the saw wave, and as you can see we also have a lot of harmonics here. And then we have white noise. It looks like a TV without any tuning. So these are the basic shapes that you can find on any oscillator, even if it's a FM or a simple oscillator, addictive, not addictive. I don't remember the name, but it's kind of oscillator. But yeah, these are the basic waves that you can find on an oscillator, and these are very important for you to understand how each oscillator or how each wave shape. It's hard today. So it's important for you to understand how each shape sounds, because after this, if you master, so if you close your eyes and you cannot identify that this tone is a sine wave, you are starting on the wrong foot. So not starting, but it's important for you to understand that this is a sine wave, this is a square wave, this is a triangle wave, and so this is a saw and this is a triangle. It might be a little bit difficult to understand from both these two, but this one here has more harmonics, has more high frequency content than this one here. And of course white noise. So after the basic for you to understand, I think, in my opinion, is for you to first understand what are the shapes, understanding the several shapes of the signal. And you can also, for instance, go here, let's go to visual wave candy, and let's go here, let's use the oscilloscope here. I would like to have it even higher. And as you can see here, this is a sine wave because it's pretty much like this shape here. Now let's go with a triangle shape. You can see that it's pretty much this shape here. This one, the same, triangle, saw. And white noise is just noise. And let me close this out. We don't need it anymore. It was just to show you that. And after that, after the basic shapes, you have the, at least here in this oscillator, you will not always find in this sequence. It can be in different sequences, but basically after the oscillator shape, you have the oscillator pitch, and here it's called coarse, but it's all the same. So if we click on the Q letter in my keyboard, and if I change the coarse, you see that I can change the pitch. Okay, so this is coarse. This here is a coarse fine tuning. So this is what vibrato is, just a variation in the pitch. It's a fine variation in the pitch. And then here we have the panning. But yeah, so we have the shapes, the pitch, maybe the panning, it depends. In this case we have, normally we might not find, but yeah, sometimes it can be. And then we have here the phase offset and detune. Phase offset, it's okay, it's not worth to mention here because I think it's just for this plugin, but you can see that if we put a lot of detune, you see that there is a lot of variation here, and the signal is not that clean anymore and is more wide. So what this is doing is just changing the pitch on each wave that is created. So inside of an oscillator you can have several voices or several waves of the same type, of the same shape. So let's say that this plugin here, this oscillator, has it has two voices. It means that it creates two types of sine waves, in this case, because the sine wave is selected. It creates two sine waves. Yeah. And the detune will create a little bit of pitch variation or pitch difference between the two sine waves. So let's listen. And as you can see, the sound now gets more wide because we are perceived as stereo, because we are changing we are detuning several voices in this case. I hope that's clear, but in the next example I will show you how a little bit better how this can work. And you can see we have a lot, not a lot, but we have a little variation that creates the detune effect. And of course we have now the other two oscillators, and you can change whatever you want. For instance, we can put like this, and then we can start adding, in terms of volume, a copy or add a little bit of the signal to the main signal. And you can create whatever you want here with this plugin. And this plugin is a very nice plugin because it forces you to understand a little bit more the concepts of oscillators and create the sounds yourself. So I really recommend you start using this oscillator because it's simple. You can start understanding the basics of sound design and then move to more advanced plugins. So let's go ahead now and use another simple plugin which is called GMS. And you will have these plugins for free if you have the not for free, but if you have a FL Studio, the producer version, you will have these plugins available. So here, let's go ahead and try to explain. Let me go and use the default preset because it has nothing. So it's the default. And as you can see here, we have wave shape. So we can open up here we can open up the 3x oscillator and our GMS. And as you can see here, we have the wave shape and we also have the wave shape here. So I'm trying to make analogies. So we have the wave shape, and as you can see, we have much more wave shapes compared to here to this 3x oscillator. Of course, if you have the shape of, for instance, devil's horn, you can import it here with this import function in 3x oscillator. So you are not just defined to just these 5 or 6 types shapes. So as you can see here, we have much more shapes than the 3x oscillator, and we also have the load waveform. So then we have the pitch and fine tuning, and these are the coarse and the fine. So these two controllers here are these two here, and as you can see, we have 1, 2, and 3 oscillators. We have 1, 2, and 3 oscillators. Then we have the pitch, the fine for each oscillator, and then here we have a mix. And again, if we do something like this, I'm trying to not put this plugin over the recording of my face. But here we can have, for instance, we don't have any volume knob for the first oscillator. And if you go here to the mix, we will see that we also do not have a knob for the first oscillator. Why? Because the first oscillator is hard-coded to the output. And this is the same here. But we can also add oscillator 2 and oscillator 3. And we can also add noise. And this noise you can see that it mixes, it blends with the first oscillator. So the first oscillator is always going out, and we can add noise. Instead of doing, for instance, here in the 3x oscillator, we had to select this oscillator as with the shape of noise to create white noise. But here in the case of GMS, we do not need to create or set up a oscillator to create a white noise. We have here a knob that creates white noise automatically. Then here we have the shape and the phase, sorry, and the phase here, it's only for oscillator 2, and here we have the phase also that we can control for each oscillator. So this knob here represents this one. And then we have unisono, and this part here is for the voices, the stereo separation, and the detuning. So let's see. For this example, we have just a saw wave going out, so no oscillator 3 and oscillator 3 and 2 are not going out because the volume is at 0. And if we play, you can listen that we have a saw wave. But now if I put it with 2 voices, we have a different sound. Why? Because we have the same oscillator creating 2 saw waves or saw shapes. And if you have like 3, and we can have like 4, and as you can see here, when you start increasing the number of voices, you will see that the CPU usage will increase. Why? Because you are creating more shapes. So for so if you are using just one oscillator with one voice, you are just creating one voice. But if you use one oscillator with 4 voices, you are creating 4 of the same shapes and outputting those shapes. And we are listening this kind of strange effect compared with this one, because all the waves are in the same position regarding the panning of the stereo panning. So if we put something like 4 waves or 4 voices, sorry, we have this sound. But if we increase the stereo width, what we will see or understand is that now we have all those voices separated in the stereo field. And if we go 100%, you will see that all the voices are a little bit they are all separated in its different stereo field. And if we put detune, what will happen is that it will create a small pitch variation between each voice, and this will create this very, very nice effect, the effect of detuning. And if you play a chord, the detune will have a tremendous effect. So let's see without chord, without detune. It's nice, but if you apply a little bit of detuning or of detune, it creates a more, I don't know, a more lush sound. So yeah, and now you can go ahead and start adding, for instance, let's see, instead of a saw wave, let's use dirt, for instance, and let's apply a little bit of oscillator 2 to the output. And this is just the oscillator 2, and we can do something like this. We can also pitch this up. So let's see, 12. Okay, minus 12. We can see that we already have that low end of the oscillator, so we can even increase it. We can change the wave. Oops. And as you can see, this is just a simple example. So now let's go ahead and start reducing the voices. So let's go to just one voice. You see now the difference. Let's put, for instance, 2 voices. Let's put 4. Let's put 6. Above 4, it's hard for you to notice how many are. But until 4, you can really understand the difference of the sound. Then, for instance, here in this plugin, we have the keyboard, and we can select the octave and a lot more parameters. And we also have here a filter, envelope, LFO. This one here is the level of the EG. I'm not sure what this stands for, but whatever. Then we have here the channel output. We have another envelope here, and this controls the output of all the oscillators together, combined. So imagine this square here as the configuration tool, and the output of this square, it's all the oscillators inside, will go through here and this envelope, and also through these areas, these effect areas. And then we also have an effect section where we can add distortion, phasing, LFP, low pass filter, high pass filter, echo, reverb, panning, and we can add that with the glue here. But this is not what I want to emphasize here is this. You can have oscillators with this part here, but you can have other oscillators or synthesizers without this part, which is the case of the 3X oscillator. In the 3X oscillator, we have just a few of these controls here in a simple UI, user interface here. And as you can see here, we have a much more complex plugin. And this is the basic that you have to understand in order for you to look at this plugin and not be afraid of messing with the knobs, is that the basic idea of the oscillator, the shape, pitch, fine-tuning, the mix of the signals of the different oscillators, the phase, the unison, the voices, the stereo field, the detuning, and also here the keyboard or the octaves of each of the oscillator, of all the oscillators itself. So if I'm playing this, if I put -1, I'm on a lower octave, but is regarding everything. And if I put -2, even lower, -1, +1, higher, and so forth. You can see, you can understand the idea, I hope. So let's go ahead and open up another one. Let's go with a third party. Let's go with hybrid. And again, as you can see here, it can be, whenever we look to this a plugin like this, we see a lot of knobs, we see a lot of shapes, we see a lot of stuff, and this can be a little bit daunting for beginners to explore the sound design field. And it's understandable. But here, let's go ahead and let's go to try to identify the same areas as we did in the previous plugins. So we have here oscillator 1, oscillator 2, and oscillator 3. Again, plugins from different companies. For instance, this one here is from Air, and it's called Hybrid 3. And as you can see, we also have 3 oscillators. And we have also here a section of filtering, a section of envelope, a section of amplifier, again another section, and also we have here LFO. If we open up GMS, I hope we can do a comparison like this. Okay, so what we have here, we have 1, 2, 3 oscillators. So we have 1, 2, 3 oscillators. Now we have here the pitch and fine tuning. Let's find those those ones here. We have here the semi and synths. It's all the same thing. Here we have minus 24. If we go here, we have minus 36, but we can go up to, or we can set it at minus 24. Let's go again. Let's put this at 0. We have the synths, which will only do plus minus semi cents basically. Then we have here the level, and in this one here, for instance, you can control everything, even though we are seeing a little bit of let me see why. Maybe, well, okay, no, we are just on A. Okay, so let me think. Okay, let's go ahead and continue. So we can have here the levels that you can. Okay, here I selected noise. So basically, it's oscillator 3 that is giving me a level. So if I click now on keys, I will try to click so that you can listen that I'm clicking here. And we listen anything. We don't have any output here in the plugin because we have oscillator 1, 2, and 3 with levels all the way down. So we want now to, let's say, open up here a little bit, or apply a little bit of level to the oscillator 1, and we cannot control the level of oscillator 1 here in GMS, but we can control the other two, and these are the basic ideas. So we can do something like this, and we will have all 3 oscillators giving me a signal. But now let's see, we have this one here. Let's increase, so to prove that this level, this semi here, it's the same as the pitch. Now we have the synths. As you can see here, is the same as the fine tune of the pitch. Then we have here the shape. We can change a lot of the shapes. So let's see another one, multi-wave. We can select different kind of shapes. Let's go here. As you can see, this is a saw shape, and this is what we have here. Now we can, for instance, have the filter we have here. LFO, it's this one here. We have it here. Then we have the envelope. We can have filter envelope here, which will control the filter, and then we have amplifier and the amplifier envelope, which will control the amplifier. And as you can see here, this is not as complicated as it sounds, or it might sound, because if you understand the basic idea of a synthesizer with the oscillators, the level, the pitch, semitones, and everything, you will start to move yourself inside of plugins a lot better. And this is the basic part that you have to master before you start developing your skills as a sound designer. So basically, if we sum up everything that a synthesizer must have, it will be an oscillator or several, in this case 3. Normally it's 3 oscillators. It will have a shape selector. It will have a pitch selector. It will be a semi or pitch, and then we will have a fine tuning of that pitch. We will have a level of the output of that oscillator, and of course we will also have a lot more sections like the LFO, filter envelope, amplifier, and filter amplifier. But we might not have these ones here, for instance, as we have here in 3X oscillator. And this is the basic, as you can see here, the basics of sound design and understanding synthesizers. And with this knowledge, you will be able to open any plugin and move yourself and move through that plugin much easier, because you have the knowledge how a synthesizer or the elements of each oscillator must be in any synthesizer. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions or suggestions, just leave a comment below and I will answer. And if you are new here to this channel, consider subscribing and activating the notifications so that you know when we upload new videos. And again, if you have any questions or suggestions, just leave a comment below. And also, if you want to support this channel, consider buying one of our products at dailybeats.pt or becoming a premium or exclusive member, and you will have access to exclusive videos where I go in more detail about sound design, mixing, mastering, and music production. So that's it guys, I hope you enjoyed this video and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.